Hi, it's Amy Bright again. I'm coming to you live from one of my places of employment where I'm teaching a Shakespeare camp this week. And we've had a great time, and I'm wearing Oberon's crown. We have 6 girls and 1 guy, and we have a lot of very froofy crowns for everyone, and it's been delightful. And this is actually one of what I love to do. I love the week-long immersion camps, especially with homeschoolers. You can do it anytime during the year usually, but where you can take Shakespeare, Beowulf, whatever your thing is, and really connect it to works of literature, works of art, making things. I'm hoping to learn how to make recurve bows and arrows and start to put some of that stuff into the camps as well. And next week, I'm actually running an art journaling camp too, combining painting and poetry and drawing and lettering for it. So it's a lot of fun, and it's the kind of thing that, again, makes literature and life in general more exciting. We're going to continue with our poetry teaching from the other day. I passed out yesterday once I got home from the Shakespeare camp because jet lag caught up with me and passed out, and then had to go to the chiropractor. So we're going to be continuing this, and I'm actually just going to go over silver today and assonance and consonants tomorrow, potentially extending to Friday. But that's the great thing about teaching, is that you can stop and start, and it doesn't matter. All right, so let's look at silver. So remember, alliteration is the repetition of initial consonant sounds. Usually vowel sounds alliterate, and I don't usually pay much attention to them. Maybe I should, but I focus on the consonants. So we're going to look at silver. So go ahead and pull up your poetry outline. And one of the things that I noticed is that I did not include the works cited page. I told you where I got them from, or the authors, but I didn't get that in there, which is honestly one of the worst possible things I can do. So I'm adding that in, and I'm going to be sending out a download to everyone who's on my email group, and the one that's in here, that I'm going to delete that and put in the download. So with the correct citations. All right, so let's get started. We're going to be looking at silver, and alliteration and how it makes you feel. And I definitely recommend that you have someone who's a beautiful reader read this out loud, and have your student really listen to it and just kind of feel it. If you have I don't know, there's lots of people reading poetry online, so definitely look for that. I think Poem Hunter has a lot of them being read online too. So we're going to look at this. It's Silver by Walter de la Mare. Slowly, silently, now the moon walks the night in her silver shoon. This way and that, she peers and sees silver fruit on silver trees. One by one, the casements catch her beams beneath the silvery satch. Couched in his kennel, like a log, with paws of silver sleeps the dog. From their shadowy coat, the white breasts peep of doves in silver-feathered sleep. A harvest mouse goes scampering by, with silver claws and silver eyes, and moveless fish in the water gleam by silver reeds in a silver stream. So what do you feel from this? Just what do you hear, what do you feel? And usually, you can add it in the comments, or you can just let me know, but usually people feel calm, they feel tired, they feel relaxed, they feel dreamy. And what's creating that is the imagery. But it's the imagery, of course, with the sibilant, with S. If you wanted, you could have them go through and listen to it again, draw what they see, notice where there's movement, scampering. Notice where they're sleeping, the dog, the doves. So you can definitely do that, but right now we're listening again to alliteration and focusing on that. And I've already outlined this for you, right? But if you're going to do another poem, the nice thing about Google is that you can always Google poems with alliteration, and you can find poems that are heavy on the alliteration if you don't have your own stack ready. But you can do this with anything. Like if you love poetry and you read a bunch and you want to have them take it apart like this, then you can go through and choose your own poems, draw from them, and give your own color code, or once they've done it like this, they can do the same thing. In fact, I think I have them do it. All right, so I have it so that they do their key. They're going to ask you, do I circle the whole word or the letter? I usually prefer that they mark or underline or circle the letter, but it's not that big of a deal. All right, so you're going to read the poem silently, listen to it, and then read it aloud. And then using the key, you'll highlight the alliteration. Now, because they've already done the smaller bits in the days before, you can start, they've scaffolded, right? They started off with Tolkien, and they learned how to do this. They're scaffolding up until what they can create their own choreographies, is your goal, right? So we're going to start with something small, and then we're going to create our own, and then we're going to move up. And now this is where they're going to do it. And this is where you can get your other kids involved. You can create patterns and choreography and chanting with this piece and practice it for an actual performance. Now usually when I do this, I actually have them write everything down because they think they're going to remember it until they get to it. Because I mean, we had it written down and I was like, I don't remember what we're doing. So you can have them write down what they're doing, or put it to the side, or however works for them. With this though, give them a couple of minutes. Say, all right, you're going to come through, you're going to find the things, and you're going to go ahead and come up with a move, a snap, a tap, a shoulder shimmy, you know, I had some that were that kind of thing. You can even have them do a move. Like, it doesn't have to be any kind of sound, but you want them to assign it, but you time them. You have 3 minutes to come up with this. All right, now you have 5 minutes to put it together. And then once they get to 5 and they're like, but we're not done, you can say, okay, well, I'll give you some extra time. You have 5 more minutes. And then at the end, you're going to practice it all the way through 3 times without stopping, and then you're going to perform it. And timing. Timers are my life when I teach. In my head, I make half the time, I just make it up. But I let them know that it's happening because it makes them focus a little more. So then you can film it and have the students perform it for family and friends. If you're into Facebook Live and you don't mind them being on there, you can do it, you know, call someone through Facebook, Skype it, who knows, whatever. And this is a great documentation tool because you can show where they've gone through the process and where they've come out with an outcome. And it's, you know, you can even have them explain it verbally and in written format, and then put it with your documentation so that, however, if you're in a place where you need to have that, or if you're wanting to put them in some kind of performing arts school or something, they can already be thinking about that and integrating their academic work with exactly what they want to do in life or what they think they want to do right now. If you have someone who wants to be a teacher, and it can be elementary, it can be high school, it can be whatever, you can use this as part of their portfolio toward teaching as well, or part of kind of like a mild internship. They could teach it to their younger brothers and sisters. You know, you have a lot of options with these things, so you want to think, all right, I have this, what are all the ways that I can make it work for me? So let's look again. Every time you have an opportunity, though, I should be asked these questions. What type of sound device is this, and how do you know? So they're going to probably know alliteration, like you've probably been going over that since 3rd grade. But as we get into assonance, as we get into consonants, as you get into like metonymy, or if you were to, it's not a sound device, but you know what I'm saying, if you were to get into kind of your repetitions, so anaphora or epistrophe, you want to make, all right, let's do this. What is this? It's alliteration. What is alliteration? What is the repetition? Like, just keep constantly going through it when you start to build on it. Always go back and review, but in a way that's natural. And then do your best to use the terms as you're teaching them. All right, we're going to start from the beginning. Remember, you clap on this instance of alliteration, you stomp on this instance of alliteration, and when you get to words alliterative, well, maybe you're going to add assonance. So, and then when the words with assonance, you're going to like really emphasize the vowels. So it becomes natural, and then have them use the terms like when they direct each other. Don't say, oh, the words that start with D. make them say, use alliteration, use assonance. So it becomes part of their vocabulary. Your vocabulary building, so it's not just, so that if they go somewhere and they see a commercial or hear a commercial and they're like, oh, that's alliteration, that's why that jingle sticks. Those are the kind of things, again, that you can ask as you're out in the real world. Why is that sticking? What makes this rhyme? What makes this feel good? What makes you want to listen to this? And they're going to start to just make it be a part of their language. And that's what your goal is. You don't want it to just be left behind. Because you're like, I never use this while I'm out in the real world. I've been alive for 50 years and I've never used this. Well, maybe you should use it. Like, maybe it's not the teaching that's the issue. Like, I haven't used much algebra. That's because I've hidden from it and I haven't done anything useful with algebra when I should be. Now that I do, like when I do jewelry and chainmail and stuff, I use algebra all the time. I just try not to admit it. Oh, I love math. All right. So what feelings do these sounds create in you and why? Remember, that can be different. What words and ideas are being connected by these sounds? What kind of rhythm is being created by these sounds? And this is a good one for silver, if you're asking this, because if you were on a farm during the day, or in this kind of scene during the day, it's going to be bright and colorful, and things are going to be everywhere, and you're not going to have this connectedness that is created by the moonlight. So that silver feeling is what makes everything soft and smooth, and what kind of evens it all out, because there's not all these disparate colors. So the silver is connecting everything in real life because of the moon, but it's also connecting everything because of that S sound in the poem. So even though it's very imagistic, it's there to create this feeling of warmth, this feeling of sleepiness, drowsiness, peace. Those are the feelings. And it's not, necessarily about love or about hate or all these things. These massive passions. It's giving you that feeling that you really want, which is peace, and it's doing it through your sounds and then through the images that they create and how they're connected. What kind of rhythm is being created by the sounds? And these are things that you'll have picked up. And sometimes when you create a rhythm, it actually doesn't work to create, like with silver, when you start to get into it and create the rhythms in there, and you emphasize them, it becomes less peaceful, especially if you use pots and pans. But you can still feel that rhythm and, take it back down, like level back once you've beaten all that out, and have them add that feeling of the rhythm in there while keeping the dreaminess. And they're going to have all the parts of the poem. All right, so journaling, journaling is great. Poetry isn't the only genre that uses alliteration. Speeches and sermons rely heavily on alliteration. So point that out. This is a memory device. And alliteration is also useful for organization and memory. So they're probably going to be using this a lot. And if they do a speech class, you can always say, all right, we're going to take what we learned in this and we're going to create a speech out of it. All right, so now let's go through and use alliteration, and hopefully by that time you don't have to define it for them. Again, the goal is to just use it and say, all right, you're going to use examples of alliteration, five examples, and then we'll use something else. But you shouldn't have to remind them. Once you get to the point where it's drilled in, it should just be like what they do, ideally. My centerpiece was completely crooked the other day. It was driving me crazy when I watched it. All right, journal entry. When reading poems was one of the first things you can pay attention to. All right, this is the application in terms of teaching them to teach themselves, because that's your goal again. So they will do this with me, and then I'll give them another poem, and they're like, we don't know what to do, and all the things we just did. So I'm still, and it's repetition. I mean, I've been doing this is my job, so I know it's repetition, but it's a thing that you can work with them on. when you get to a poem, don't lead them through it. What's the first thing we did? How can you do that here? What's the second thing we did? All right, now, here's your third poem. Do it on your own. Here's your fourth poem. Teach me, or teach your brothers and sisters, or teach your friend, or teach the internet, like whatever. And if you can do that, then by the fourth or fifth poem, and then hopefully as, you know, like, let's say you're doing this in 9th grade, each year, all right, we're going to study this, but you're going to study this. It can work out for you. All right, well, I am done. Ooh, Aegeus. And a fight, I guess it's over there. I'm going to say goodbye, and I hope to see you tomorrow, and have a lovely day.